What's up, everybody? Welcome into the Fantasy Football Game Show brought to you by Front Yard Fantasy. We are your rootin', tootin', gun-toting co-hosts, Simon Grunewald, John Luke Garofalo, and Joey right here with some pew-pews on this beautiful Thursday as we get ready for the Jaguars and Saints to face off without an offensive line on the Saints side of the ball. It should be a fun one. Joining us today, we have our great friend Wailele Sallas here with us. Vi, thank you so much for taking the time to come and hang out.
I'm so excited to be here. Let's get going.
Yeehaw! We are excited. For everyone here who does not know Vi, you got to fix that as soon as possible. You can find him on Twitter at Vi Sallas. He is a content creator over at the Undroppables. And on Friday, you can catch his segment, Hawaiian Fantasy, right there. We got some people in the chat ready for today's show. Chad Ocho Cinco stopping by saying, anyone want to play FIFA?
Chad, it's 3 days in a row you've popped in here.
Yeah. I will say, Chad, today I saw a video of you, Chad, pop up, and it was of the time that you sent a box of Pepto-Bismol to every single person in the secondary on the opposing team that you were about to play because you were getting ready to make them sick of covering you during the game. That
what a good fun joke.
That's incredible,
clean,
man.
Fun joke.
Just beautiful. We need more trash like that.
Pepto-Bismol.
How much
for your
of that
Tommy
Pepto?
Trembles.
Yeah, exactly. How much of that Pepto ended up in the medicine cabinets?
Honestly, if someone sends me Pepto to trash talk, I'm bringing it straight back home and putting it in the cabinet to use. I'm actually probably cracking it out before the end of the day.
Do you put it in Chad Ochocinco's locker and do some pranks on him if he's on the road or home? Like maybe that could backfire with the Pepto. That's all I'm saying.
Every time he passes a locker, there's a Pepto-Bismol inside it. Reverse prank.
He puts his shoes on and pink liquid just oozes out of the top. People are just filling his cleats with Pepto-Bismol. We got Dustin in the chat stopping by as well saying, let's go. Hashtag Team Joey. What's up, Dustin? And Dame is in here as well. Yay, half hour. Sup, dudes? What's up, Dame? Welcome in. Dustin filling in for our chat historian, Craig, letting us know today is Vi's third time on the show, but only his second time playing a game and his first time playing Fortune. So looking for that dub on today's game of Fortune. Vi, how you feeling?
Filling in for the horse story.
I like Dustin's thoroughness. I don't appreciate him bringing up that I've never won a game. I don't like that, even if it's 0-1. Like, that's not a way you want to start the whole game off. But it's about to change today. You guys picked one that's right in my wheelhouse, so I'm excited.
It's early in the season. We got Ladarius in here. Says, good afternoon, all. What's up, Ladarius? Welcome in, my friend. And Stanford stopping by with a good afternoon, FIF and Vi. Jay with the howdy. Finally, someone speaking in Texan. I can understand the hello. Took a minute. What's up, Jay? Welcome.
Learn the other languages of the other states, Simon.
It's just howdy and yeehaw. Anything outside of that, I'm faking it to the best of my ability. Albert's in here with a hello, everyone. What's up, Albert?
What's up, Albert?
Well, guys, today, like we mentioned, we brought Vi here to play some Fantasy Fortune. Before we get into that, though, a couple reminders. First and foremost, if you're not following our guest Vi, fix that right now on Twitter at Vi Sallas. It's right there below his handsome face and in the description of this YouTube video where you're probably watching. If you are watching there, go ahead and hit the subscribe button on the Front Yard Fantasy YouTube channel. It is the #1 way to show your support for what we're doing over here. And it just so happens to be the easiest as well. It's pretty simple. Just hit that subscribe button.
It's the second way. Second best way to support us. First
my
way
Venmo is at Simon-Grunewald. That's the #1 way to support us. There's a little notification bell too. You can hug Joey. You can send me money, and JL just takes calf compliments as his primary form of payment.
I'm rich in those.
You are rich in those, but you can never have enough.
Hold on, I gotta just write this stuff down. Hold on.
JL's calves need to get complimented. Make sure we remember that.
Compliment calves.
I also see some questions rolling in here. We're going to answer these. We'll start off with a couple of them, but a reminder to everybody watching right after this at 4:05 p.m. Eastern time, we'll be live for some fantasy football office hours, answering your questions for week 7, any and everything you've got. I know I'll be there. We'll see who else shows up to answer questions with.
Can I come?
You can come. Everybody's invited. Well, not everyone, but you guys are invited. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and pull this game up here ever so shortly, and then we are going to get into it. Before we do that, let's answer these questions. One from Mr. St. Louis fans, Mr. Discount.
Wow.
Wants to know, would you trade DeAndre Hopkins for Najee Harris in a 16-team league? The current running back 2 is Jamal Williams. Joey, I see you nodding your head down there. This feels icky, but are you doing it?
It is icky, but context matters everything in this. And because it's 16 teams and running backs are so hard to come by, even though Najee has been a little disappointing, I would rather have Najee Harris in a 16-team league than I would DeAndre Hopkins at this point.
Yeah, it's a solid trade. That's a solid, like the type of risk you're trading off there, or risk versus reward is great in a 16 team. Get Najee Harris, who's undervalued right now.
Are you agreeing here? Would you make that move
Yeah.
even with the output we've seen from Najee thus far?
I would agree, and also you want to look at the output of Hopkins as well, and he's not really lighting up the scoreboards. And you could probably stream wide receivers in a 16-team league where running backs, you're not going to have that opportunity.
Not at all.
Great
Very
point.
good.
Grab these guys off
Jamal
the bench.
Williams.
Start Julio
In a 12
Jones.
team, in a 12-team league, I am not making this trade. Like, it's so weird, like the context.
I'm still
changes so
glad I'm
much.
making the trade.
Oh,
I mean,
really? Okay.
Running backs that feel bad when you go and look at the rankings this year are actually good. Like a
Jaylen
running back
Warren.
doesn't have to feel good on your team to be a top 24 running back this year. I feel like scoring's way down for running backs, but that's just a gut feeling. I'm gonna have to go back and look at it. Just feels gross this year. Dustin coming in with some news. Jimmy G officially out this week. Oh boy, that means we're getting some Brian Hoyer action, I think, along with the Tyson Bagent action there in Chicago. It's a star-studded week at quarterback.
So,
Vi, does Brian Hoyer taking over at quarterback here in Las Vegas affect the way you're viewing the receiving options for fantasy this week? Does it downgrade anyone from a start maybe?
I don't. It doesn't downgrade for me just because the only people you're starting are the people that you were going to start regardless. So Devontae Adams is the only one who I would really want to start in Las Vegas. So he's not getting dropped anywhere. He's still someone I'm going to start, especially since Brian Hoyer is a veteran quarterback. He knows the offense. He knows everything about it, and that he's going to make the smart play and feed Adams.
Yeah.
What about Jacoby Myers? Because I feel like that's I'm with you. Devontae Adams is a must start if he's healthy. He's that level of talent. Jacoby Myers, someone who's been pretty good in this offense, but a little less clear whether it's Jimmy G in there with that connection with Jacoby or whether it's Jacoby's talent. What do you guys expect with Jacoby Myers going forward?
Well, I would say with Jacoby Myers, we already know, he's been able to work with some pretty subpar quarterbacks, particularly in New England. So, if he's looking at underneath routes, I think he'll be fine in a PPR league. In standard, you might not going to be getting the production you want to start him.
Craig down here also reminding me that it may not be Brian Hoyer time. It may be Aiden O'Connell time there in Las Vegas. Joey, who do you think gets the start?
I think Brian Hoyer will get the start. I like Aiden O'Connell. What we've seen of him this year, I'd rather have Brian Hoyer.
Brian Hoyer is about as safe as a start I feel like any NFL team can make for their backup quarterback. Just
Great
put Brian
name for a
Hoyer in
cookie.
there. Brian Hoyer?
Mm-hmm.
I'll take the Brian Hoyer extra Hoyer, please.
I had 2 boxes of the Brian Hoyers. Thank you.
Also, Dustin wanted to know yes or no on giving Tyson Bagent the nickname Teabag. JL, how you feeling on this nickname?
It feels it's excellent. It's low hanging fruit, but it's good low hanging fruit.
I think he needs to earn it this weekend.
Well, no,
I would also go ahead.
Go ahead, Vi.
Oh, I was going to say I would almost kind of expand on that a little bit and maybe not giving the nickname Teabag, but you just got teabagged if he performs well. That might be a better situation than calling him Teabag.
Some more catchphrase than nickname is what you're pitching here.
Yeah,
we don't have enough good catchphrases.
Yeah, I like the nickname because you have to be nuts to start him. Thank you, guys. Have a great day.
That was worth it. We got Craig in here also saying that Raiders beat is saying it's likely Aiden starting. Aiden O'Connell targeted Adams 13 times last time they played, and Devontae Adams is vocally grumpy. So we could be in line for a big Devontae Adams week. You got to cure the grump of your star wide receivers. We know.
And if you're a rookie quarterback and you got a grumpy alpha wide receiver, like I would just by default just every ball like give him 20 and just call it a day.
Yes, sir. Anything you say, sir. What route were we running?
Exactly.
Remember Deshaun Watson's first game in the NFL, and he targeted DeAndre Hopkins like 16 times.
Sounds about right.
Every single throw, DeAndre Hopkins.
And Will Fuller twice for 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure how that worked. All right, well, guys, I'm going to pull this game board up here ever so shortly, and then we will get started. For those of you who have never played Fantasy Wheel of Fortune here with us before, it's going to look a lot like the popular TV show Wheel of Fortune, but we got rid of that stupid wheel and replaced it with NFL and fantasy-related trivia questions. So on your turn, I will ask you a 50-50 NFL or fantasy question, something like who scored more PPR fantasy points last week, Mark Andrews or TJ Hawkinson? You get the answer right, you're going to get to guess a consonant that you think appears in the puzzle. For every instance of the consonant that shows up, you will add $500 to your round score. Now, you can do this up to 3 times in a row correctly before your turn is going to end. That is question right, letter correct. After you do that correctly 3 times, you'll have 5 seconds to solve, but we are going to move on to the next contestant. Good news is, though, all the money you have earned so far will be banked for getting all those questions right. Now, during your turn, there are 2 other actions you can take at any point before a question has been asked. If you've got at least $500 in your round bank, you can say, I'd like to buy a vowel, please. For each instance of the vowel that you purchase shows up, it will cost you $100 up to a max of $500. You can also choose to solve the puzzle at any given time. You will bank all of the money you've earned up to that point or $1,000, whichever one is higher. So this is not 1,000 plus, it is 1,000 or. So if you've earned all that money, we're not giving you a $3,000 there. Now your turn automatically ends if at any point you get anything wrong. That is question or letter. We're going to go like this in turn order until we run out of time, run out of puzzles, or Vi runs out of patience for the 3 buffoons on screen with him. At which point we will end the show, and whoever's got the most money will be our Fantasy Fortune champion for today. You guys ready? You got a question, Vi?
Yeah, I got a question. Nobody asked for my Zelle or Venmo. How will I get paid out?
That's a great question. I'm glad you asked. We will fax the winner their Kohl's Cash within 48 business millennia. So just have your fax machine on for the foreseeable future, and your Kohl's Cash will be sent to you within a timely manner.
And that's the Greg Roman calendar.
Yes. I chose the running up a tab method. I've just been running up a tab all these years for the day it comes.
There's not enough peanuts in the state of Georgia to pay Joey the debt that we owe him. Jimmy Carter's going to have to come out of retirement to grow enough peanuts to feed Joey.
That was a good reference.
When you grow up in Georgia, that's all you hear about, Jimmy Carter and peanuts. All right. Well, guys, I'm going to go ahead and pull this first puzzle up. This first one, all the rules I just mentioned, throw them out the window because this is a toss-up. I'm going to slowly reveal letters in this puzzle. When you think you know the NFL player that is on the screen, buzz in by saying your own name. If you get it right, you're going to earn $500 and you'll get to go first in our first real puzzle of today's game. You guys ready?
Okay.
Yep.
I'm going to go and put this up here. Buzz in and say your name when you think you know who the player is. I'm going to reveal some letters.
Joey. Oh my God.
I heard Vi right before Joey at the last second. Vi, who is this?
That would be New Orleans Saint Alvin Kamara.
Playing tonight, Alvin Kamara. Nice. That is correct, Vi. That's going to earn you $500 into your round bank. And boy, was that confusing not looking at the screen. All of a sudden, I just feel like I heard all 3 of you buzz in at the same time. But Vi is going to get this one. Vi, how are you feeling about Alvin Kamara tonight? We got news that yet another Saints offensive lineman is out. They're down multiple starters, and Alvin Kamara hasn't necessarily been the Alvin Kamara of years past through the first couple weeks of this season. Are you excited to start him tonight, or is he a player that you're plugging your nose and shoving into lineups?
I would say I'm in between. You know, even though he's not the Alvin Kamara of old, he's still averaging double digits in PPR through the 2 weeks. So, you know, he's still serviceable. He's still a guy who's going to get you those RB1, RB2 numbers. So yeah, I'm plugging him in. And I don't know if they've said what's happening with Trevor Lawrence, but they might be really relying heavily on the New Orleans running game to, you know, win the game.
Yeah. I did see this morning that they're expecting Trevor Lawrence to play, but that's never a good sign whenever we're finding out day of, right? There's a good chance that maybe he's limited in some capacity or not back to full strength yet.
As any true leader would.
Baker, Trevor Lawrence, you know, playing through just a little bit of injury. I can't think of a single quarterback in the NFL right now, especially not one with the most expensive guaranteed contract of all time, sitting out on his team with a little rotator cuff soreness. John Luke, are you feeling optimistic about Alvin Kamara's odds or Alvin Kamara's chances here against the Jaguars tonight? It's an okay defensive matchup, but they are struggling on the offensive line.
Yeah, Alvin Kamara is the type of player. I mean, you mentioned he's not the Kamara of years past, but he has gotten so much usage since he's been back from suspension. 11 attempts in the first week, 22 the next week, 19 the following week. If he's not the Alvin Kamara of last, I'm not sure what our expectations are. This 20-point game out of a running back that you probably drafted a little later, I think. Like, I'm happy with what I've seen from Alvin Kamara, so I'm starting him tonight.
Yeah, I am. I'm lowering my expectations a little bit, just as I am for the entire Saints offense tonight. But you plug this dude in, you see what you got with him. You got an early lead here, 500 to 0. We'll see if you can keep it, because you're going to go first in our next round here. The category is NFL Player Book Mashup. This one comes to us from our friend Dame Overboard. So Dame Overboard sent in this puzzle. We're going to take the name of an NFL player, a name of a book, and slam them together in some way, shape, or form. We've done this with movies, TV shows, other things, something like Dude, Where's My Derek Carr? Or Boston Scott Pilgrim versus the World. Vi, with that being said, you're up first. Would you like a question, or would you like to solve this puzzle?
First of all, nobody told me reading was going to be a prerequisite. So I'm really
prerequisite for life.
All of you. Yeah, well, Da Vinci Code, I think, was the last book I bought. So I'm going to go with a question.
Why?
He's a big Dan Brown guy, JL.
Biggest Dan Brown guy.
He Vi's the biggest Dan Brown fan in the fantasy football industry.
Dan Brown fan ever.
As someone significantly older than all of you, let me just tell you that Dan Brown was hot in like the early aughts. Okay, let's just put that out there.
I was at a Barnes and Noble in 2007. I know that the Da Vinci Code was everywhere. It got me to buy it when I was in like the 8th grade, just because I was like, man, this must be the best book ever. Because the only book they have more of at this bookstore is the Bible.
I solved the puzzle.
Did you?
Well, you guys better not let it get to Joey, because he's claiming he can just solve this on the spot, Vi, but you got a chance to prevent him from getting those points. Here's your first question. Get it right. You're going to get to guess a letter that you think appears here. Are you ready?
Yeah.
What I want to know is who has more PPR fantasy points through the first 6 weeks of the season. So through the first 6 weeks up to this point, who has more PPR fantasy points? Is it Adam Thielen, or is it Devontae Adams?
Oh, that's easy. Hooked on a Thielen.
It is Hooked on a Thielen. Can't trick you. Nice job, Vi. Which letter would you like?
I'm going to go with S.
S?
Yeah.
There is one S in this puzzle. You can add an additional 500. You can choose to buy a vowel if you would like to do so. Oh, and I forgot to bank that money last time. You should actually have 500 down there and 500 up here. Would you like to buy a vowel? Would you like to move on to your second question, or would you like to solve this puzzle? And a reminder to our contestants, make sure you have the chat closed. Either be over in that private chat or have it full screened. And to everybody in the chat, the reason we're doing this is so you can play along. If you know the puzzle, solve it in the chat. We'll shout you out for getting it right before our contestants do. All right, question number 2.
Question number 2, because the book part is going to kill me. So I'm going to need to be on this for a while.
Who has more PPR fantasy points through the first 6 weeks of the season? Who has more PPR fantasy points through the first 6 weeks? Is it Calvin Ridley, or is it Amon-Ra St. Brown?
Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Even with one less game, Amon-Ra's got him beat. Nice job, Vi. Which letter would you like?
We're gonna keep it in the classic Wheel of Fortune and go R.
RSTLNE. And there are no R's in this puzzle. Betrayed by the fortune logic, which means John Luke.
Betrayal.
We are on to you after the big bonk betrayal of Vi. I'd watch that movie.
Of course, yeah, I would too.
The Big Bonk Betrayal of Vi. What's the subtitle of that film?
Hawaiian Fantasy.
I was going to say bonked. That's
bonk. I love that as a subtitle.
Extraneous.
Yeah, would you like a question here?
Yeah.
Hey, who has more PPR fantasy points the first 6 weeks of the season? Who has more PPR fantasy points? Is it Christian Kirk, or is it DJ Moore?
Kirk.
I'm sorry, John Luke. It is DJ Moore, 120.2.
49-point week.
I know. That's all it took. It was one good week to push him above Christian Kirk, which means, Joey, we are on to you. You said you knew it. Are you going to solve?
Money. Oh, no, I'm going to take questions. Yeah, I'm getting greedy. Because I've done this thing where I solve, and then I only get $1,000, and I'm like, and then somebody will hit like a Q, or not a Q, it's like a C, and they'll get like 8 of them. I'll be like,
rules.
Dang it. So I'm going to take a question.
It would be funny if we introduced like rareness of the letter into the amount that you earn for guessing it. Joey, which of these players has more PPR fantasy points through the first 6 weeks? Which of these players has more PPR fantasy points through the first 6 weeks? Is it Zay Flowers or is it Michael Pittman Jr.?
Zay Flowers.
I'm sorry, Joey. It is Michael Pittman Jr., the wide receiver, 14 on the season. Compared to Zay Flowers down at 22, which means, Vi, we are back to you.
Just a quick question, Joey. If you did get it right, what would you guess as the answer for the puzzle? No?
Yeah, I can't volunteer that information at this point in the game.
I was walking Rosie yesterday, and this guy ran past me in the park, and I've seen him a couple of times now. And I'm like, dude, that guy's built like a football player. And then I was thinking about it. I was like, maybe that was Zay Flowers. And then I looked it up. I'm like, no, Zay Flowers is 5'9".
Zay Flowers doesn't look like a football player.
No, he just
like if you just saw him in sweats running through the park, you wouldn't think NFL player.
No.
It's pretty funny. Vi, you want a question here? Would you like to buy a vowel or would you like to solve
I'm
this
going
puzzle?
to go question.
Okay, who has more PPR fantasy points through the first 6 weeks of the season? Who has more PPR fantasy points through the first 6 weeks of the season? Is it Travis Etienne Jr. or is it Josh Jacobs?
Etienne.
It is Etienne. Nice job, Vi. Which letter would you like?
My boy.
I'm going to go with N.
N as in no way. There are 3 N's in this puzzle. Going to add 1,500 to your round score. You can choose to buy a vowel if you would like to. We can move on to question number 2, or you can take the answer and feed it to us.
I would rather you feed me a question.
I will feed you a question. Get ready. Put your bib on because this question is going to get messy. Who has more PPR fantasy points through the first 6 weeks of the season? Who has more PPR fantasy points through the first 6 weeks of the season? Is it Dameon Pierce or is it Brian Robinson Jr.?
I'm going to go with B-Rob.
B-Rob is absolutely correct. Nice job. Which letter would you like?
Joey, what letter would you choose?
Q. I would choose Q.
Trap.
I am going to go with H.
H. There are 3 H's in this puzzle. We're going to rack up another 1,500 into your round bank. Now your options remain the same. You can buy a vowel, you can take another question, or you can solve this puzzle. This will be your last opportunity to buy vowels this turn, though, as we're going into your third question. So after this question, if you get this question and letter right, you'll bank all this money, but we're going to move on to the next contestant.
Oh, well, then let's go vowel and choose the letter A, please.
A. There are 3 A's in this puzzle. Going to subtract 300. Your options remain the same. What's the move?
The move is, I got nothing. What are my options?
Question. You can buy more vowels or
Let's
you
go
can.
Question.
Okay, here's question number 3. Get this right and get the letter right. You will add all of this money to your total bank. Who has more PPR fantasy points through the first 6 weeks of the season? Who has more PPR fantasy points through the first 6 weeks? Is it Breece Hall or is it Zach Moss?
Ooh, that's a good one. I am going to go just based on recency and say Zach Moss.
Zach Moss is absolutely correct. I don't know how long he'll hold on to that top 5 running back status, but that's where he's sitting right now. Vi, which letter would you like? Get this right. You're banking all this money.
Oh my gosh. I'm going to go with the letter T.
T. There are 2 T's in this puzzle. Going to add 1,000. You're going to bank all 4,200 here, but you got 5 seconds to solve before we move on to JL.
You guys sure you don't want to take a question real quick? Or no? I got nothing.
I like the effort right there. Which means we're going to move on to JL. Before we do that, just on time with Vi mentioning it. Dylan and here says, hey boys, all good. If so, is this just game show stuff or answering fantasy related questions? If you've got fantasy questions, shoot, Dylan. We'd be more than happy to answer them for you in between rounds of today's game. And for everybody else who's got all the fantasy questions, we're going to answer them during the show, but we'll also be live for about 30 minutes after the show today. And it looks like Vi figured it out just in time for it to be John Luke's turn. JL, would you like a question or would you like to solve this puzzle? Hey, at least you got the money banked.
I will take a question.
Okay, JL, who has more PPR points through the first 6 weeks of the season? Is it DeAndre Swift or is it Alexander Madison?
Madison.
I am sorry, John Luke. It is DeAndre Swift, the number 7 PPR running back on the season. Which means, Joey, we are to you. Would you like to solve or would you like a question?
No, I need to get some money now. I should have solved it because then I wouldn't have got the 4,700. But let's go.
Defense. Who has more PPR fantasy points through the first 6 weeks of the season? Joey, who has more PPR fantasy points? Is it Derrick Henry or is it Rashad White?
Derrick Henry.
Derrick Henry is correct. Although he hasn't been the Henry we're used to seeing, he's at least better than Rashad White this year. Which letter would you like, Joey?
L.
L.
Give him the L.
There are 3 L's in this puzzle. Going to add 1,500 to your score. What you going to do now, Joey? Buy a vowel, take a question, or solve?
I'm just going to solve because I can only get singles from here on out. I'll the places you'll Jonathan Mingo.
This is the places you'll Jonathan Mingo. Nice job, Joey, solving that one. And thanks to Dame for submitting that puzzle for us.
Good one.
That is a pretty good one. Joey, is there any hope for Jonathan Mingo having a second half breakout here? Each year, it feels like we see a rookie wide receiver who doesn't show up in the first half of the season come out and blow the roof off the place in the second half. We saw it with Amon-Ra St. Brown. We saw it with Garrett Wilson. A.J. Brown had a similar trajectory his rookie year as well. Could Mingo be that guy this year, or is it not going to happen?
I think what Mingo needs, I love the talent. He was a rookie that I was really excited about coming into the league with Bryce Young. I think he needs to be read, the places you'll go, because maybe it'll inspire him to make cuts a little faster, be a little better out there. I think it will come along for him, but I don't think we're going to see quality fantasy production probably until next year.
I do agree with Joey
like
here.
The Thielen show, sadly.
Well, yeah, I was going to say that along the same lines. It's obvious that Bryce Young favors Adam Thielen, and unless something happens to Adam Thielen, I just don't think the targets are going to be there, regardless of separation or better route running. That Jonathan Mingo is going to make that big of a splash in an offense that's really struggling.
I tend to agree with you guys here. Without the world's largest change in offensive output over the back half of this season, I don't see much changing for Mingo either this year. Joey, I accidentally gave your money to JL at first, but that has been corrected. All your money is down in your score. $1,500 coming your way for those L's.
JL can have a little bit if he wants.
Joe, would you like some of Joey's money?
No.
Okay, cool. I was going to say no anyways. Dylan had a question for us before we get to our next puzzle. Dylan said, cool, no rush on it either. Oh, we're rushing. He said, this week, pick one, Stafford, Howell, or Dobbs going into this weekend. Ooh-wee. So we got Sam Howell going up against the Giants, right? The Rams. Who do the Rams play this week?
Steelers.
That's right. The Rams have the Steelers, who have been pretty weak against opposing quarterbacks and wide receivers. And then I'm not starting Dobbs over those two guys, but maybe you guys are. Vi, I'm curious where you land on this because it does seem like maybe a close call between some players that have been showing up the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I think it definitely is difficult between Stafford and Howell. I would say the reason I lean Howell is they just pass the ball a lot more. Washington is one of the most prolific passing teams in the league. And who knows what the running game is going to do for Stafford in terms of protection and just overall gameplay with possibly Zach Evans starting there. So I would probably go with Howell.
These are two of my favorite DFS guys this week in Stafford and Howell. I like their matchups. I like what the Steelers defense is, what I think it's going to do to the Rams offensive attack with their platoon of backup running backs anchoring the run game. I think this Rams team is going to throw the ball a ton as well. Maybe it's a Tutu Atwell week. We get a deep ball to Tutu. It's coming off that one target performance and the big win over the Cardinals. I think I lean Stafford, but it's super close between the two. John Luke, where are you going here?
I'm leaning with you, Simon. The thing that worries me about Sam Howell this week is he's going against the Giants defense. And what I've seen when applying the eye test to Sam Howell this season has been he does have these flashes of excellence. Like he has the talent. He's just not very consistent with it. That Giants defense looked prolific last week. I think they're going to give Sam Howell a tough time. And I think Vegas agrees here with the over under of 37.5. So I'd put my money on Stafford. With Pittsburgh, the total in that game is a little higher. Stafford's more. We've seen more from Stafford. We have more evidence to support that he can do it with a bad situation on his plate.
Joey, which way are you rolling here? Howell, Stafford, or Dobbs?
Yeah, I'm stuck. You guys have pretty much broke it down pretty well. I'm stuck between Stafford and Howell. I have Howell ranked a little higher. I would probably lean there if I needed a safety, like a nice floor. Being with only 24 of our planned starting quarterbacks playing this week. If you need a floor, go Howell. If you need some points, if you need upside, go Stafford.
By the second half of this question, he's looking for some DST help. Rams versus Pittsburgh,
Yeah.
Seahawks versus Arizona, or Packers versus Denver. Which way would you be rolling here?
I mean, it's hard not to go and fade Denver for the rest of the year. So just without even going deep into it, I would say Packers.
I think I agree with you. What about you, Joey?
Yeah, I'll go Packers. I don't mind the Seahawks defense. Packers are coming off their bye, so they're healthy. And Aaron Jones is going to be healthy this week, it looks. So that team's going to be better. It doesn't mean much of their defense. Their defense is rested up. So, yeah, I'd go Packers.
Yeah, I'd lean Seahawks, but it's very close to Packers. I think you can't go wrong with either two of those choices.
Another question here wants to know, is the Raiders defense worth a start this week going up against the Bears with a backup quarterback? Joey, you're saying yeah?
Yes, I'm absolutely saying yes. And I'm a fan of your name, guys.
What's up? I think that's what's up.
No, it's
guys. It's just
I think that's
the
part of your hair, right? The part that twists up. Is that
that's your whiskers? One more question in here before we get back into our game. George wanted to know, hey guys, should I drop Roschon Johnson from Michael Mayer? Roschon didn't train today. My other tight end is Goddard. John Luke, would you be dropping Roschon Johnson to pick up another tight end here?
This is tough. I probably wouldn't drop Roschon Johnson if you already have Goddard, because you don't really need Mayer. You can see and just hope Roschon Johnson does play.
I like best case scenario, Mayer gives you similar production to Goddard. Best case scenario with Roschon Johnson is a high-end RB2 that you can just plug into your lineup at any given time. I think I'm with you, John Luke. What about you, Vi? Are you maybe a little higher on Michael Mayer than we are?
Well, I don't think it has anything to do with Michael Mayer. It's just the format. If it's a tight end premium, maybe. But if you're just playing regular old, start one tight end, then it doesn't make sense to have both Goddard and Mayer. Maybe trade for Goddard and pick up Mayer might be your idea. But Roschon, even if he doesn't play this week, will probably continue to see the majority of the carries with Herbert out once he's healthy, and continue to split work when Herbert comes back, or maybe even take over. So I think long-term, Roschon is definitely the better choice, rather than having two tight ends in your stable.
So Jay in here saying it's what you say to get cats to come up to you. And I do see scampers running up in the chat. So maybe that is absolutely true. Because we are going to load up this next puzzle here. Puzzle number 3 coming your way. The category is top 12 running backs. So these are all running backs, last name only, 4 different last names that are currently top 12 in PPR points on the season. To solve, you'll just read the 4 last names in order to me off the screen. That last puzzle was solved by Joey, which means, Vi, you are up first in this one again. Scampers in here says, why is everyone yelling at me?
It's the catnip out of your mouth.
Vi, would you like a question, or would you like to let her solve this one?
I'm doing math in my head right now, but let's go with the question.
Wrong game.
Yeah, no, this one is reading, not math. This one is reading.
Oh.
What I want to know is, which of these players scored more PPR fantasy points over the course of the first 6 weeks? So which of these players has scored more PPR fantasy points the first 6 weeks of the season? Is it Dalton Schultz, or is it TJ Hawkinson?
Hawkinson.
Hawkinson is correct. Which letter would you like, Vi?
Well, I know what the top box says, so I'm going to just start filling in off of that. So give me an N, please.
An N, and I'm guessing you do in fact know what the top box says. That is going to be $1,000 in your round bank. Would you like another question? Would you like to buy some vowels, or would you like to solve this puzzle?
Let's go with another question. I think I know what the third box is too, but we're going to keep going. Third row, I should say.
Okay. Who has more PPR fantasy points through the first 6 weeks of the season? Who has more PPR fantasy points? Is it Kyle Pitts, or is it Evan Ingram?
Ooh, that's a good one. I'm going to go with Ingram.
Ingram is correct. Which letter would you like?
Let's go F.
S. There are 3 S's in this puzzle as well. Going to add another 1,500. This is your last opportunity to buy vowels this round, or you can skip that, go into your third question, or you can solve this puzzle.
So I gotta be honest with you. I'm gonna go the sportsmanship commercial. I said F as in Frank, and you gave me S as in Sam. So I'm happy to keep the money and continue moving on if that's what you would like to do. I just wanted to be, good sportsman and say that's what I wanted to say.
100%. I
would like to take the S's off the board, please.
I would like to give all of you F's as in Frank.
It seems like the consensus is just to keep the money, so we'll go and
money. That mistake was on me. You will not be punished for that mistake.
Okay.
But Simon will. Oh, will he ever?
I'm going to be so hard after this with the Hot Wheel track.
We'll do another question.
Okay, here is your next question. This is question number 3 coming your way. Get this right and the letter. You'll bank all of this money. Who has more PPR fantasy points through the first 6 weeks of the season, Vi? Is it Sam Laporta or is it Mark Andrews?
Laporta.
Laporta is correct. Nice job, Vi. Which letter would you like?
We are going to go with L.
L. Well, there are 3 L's in this puzzle.
Oh, kind of made a little
an L on the screen. That's kind of cute. Vi, you're going to bank all 4,000. You're going to bank all this money, but you got 5 seconds to solve if you would like to do so.
Am I allowed to Google?
No, but that's a great question, though.
Okay.
Vi, we're going to move on to John Luke's turn, but you will bank all $4,000 of this.
Right.
You're killing it on the trivia.
Which means I don't need to solve puzzles.
John Luke, it's your turn. Would you like a question or would you like to solve?
I need a question.
Okay, who has more PPR fantasy points through the first 6 weeks of the season? Who has more PPR fantasy points through the first 6 weeks? Is it AJ Brown or is it Jacoby Myers?
Jacoby Myers.
I'm sorry, John Luke. Go for 3. It is AJ Brown.
Whatever.
Which means we're on to Joey. Joey, would you like a question or would you like to solve?
I'd like to buy an eye.
Dummy.
You don't have any money.
Well, I mean, you're messing up on listening, so I was wondering if I could.
Don't keep me honest. I appreciate it.
So I'll take a question, please.
Okay. And there's 5 eyes. I'm just kidding. Who had more PPR fantasy points through the first 6 weeks of the season, Joey? Who has more PPR fantasy points through the first 6 weeks? Is it Mike Evans or is it Nico Collins?
Nico Collins.
Nico Collins is correct. Which letter would you like?
M as in Michael Mayer.
There are 2 M's in this puzzle.
Just text me when it's my turn.
Joey, would you like another question or would you like to solve this puzzle or would you like to buy some vowels?
I'm going to take another question.
Okay, Joey, what I want to know is which player has more rushing yards through the first 6 weeks of the season? So we're moving over to some rushing yards question. Which player has more rushing yards? Is it DeAndre Swift or is it Isaiah Pacheco?
DeAndre Swift.
DeAndre Swift is correct. Nice job, Joey. Which letter would you like?
I only know there's a W up there somewhere.
W, is that your guess?
Yeah.
Well, there are 2 W's up here. Going to add another grand. Joey, this is your last opportunity to buy vowels if you would like to do so. You can solve or you can take another question.
I'll take a question.
So Jay saying jail had to poo-poo. Indeed.
I did that before the show and broke the toilet.
Nice. Legitimately?
We'll talk more about it at office hours. It was it was really bad.
Joey,
was there overflow?
It wasn't even overflow. Like it was a 2 flusher, and like I broke the toilet. So,
ceramic.
Tough conversations will be had today before I see Killers of the Flower Moon.
Maybe there's
the white porcelain toilet.
Maybe the bathroom won't be done today.
Oh God, this is bad.
Joey, did you say another question? Question
yes,
number 3?
Another question, please.
Okay, question number 3. Who has more rushing yards for the first 6 weeks of the season? Who has more rushing yards? Is it Brian Robinson Jr. or is it Joe Mixon?
Brian Robinson Jr.
I'm sorry, Joe.
Oh,
Joe Mixon
Joe
by about
Mixon.
70 rushing yards. Unfortunately, that is incorrect.
That's 10 a game
back
at this point.
to Vi. Would you like another question? Would you like to solve this puzzle?
Or would you like to pass it to JL, who hasn't played yet?
Well, I'm going to take a stab at it. My brain has malfunctioned, but we'll try and solve it.
Let's hear it.
Etienne, Walker, Williams, and Moss.
Etienne, Walker, Williams, Moss is absolutely correct, Vi. Nice job. You're going to add $1,000 for solving that puzzle just to rub it in after banking that 4,500 before. Vi, whenever you're looking at this list of players, which one of these four do you think is most likely to finish the season as a top 12 running back?
Well, you can knock Moss off that list right away. So
Yeah.
I would say I was a big fan of his before the season started, and I really like the way they're using him. So I'm going to go with Etienne as the guy that I really like rest of the season.
Yeah, I think I agree with it. There's questions around some of these other players. Joey, do you agree that Travis Etienne is the most likely to stay top 12 after this?
I am eating a ton of crow on Travis Etienne. I thought Tank Bigsby was going to be involved in this offense much more than he is already. He's barely involved. It's Etienne, 100%. I still think Zach Charbonnet may be involved in Seattle. I'm not going to leave that one because that one feels like more of probably going to happen at some point. So yeah, Etienne I think is best because I don't even Kyron Williams comes back to a lead back share when he comes back from injury. I think Zach Evans might actually be a better running back than him, even though we haven't seen anything out of Zach Evans yet. And then Moss.
So what makes you think Charbonnet is going to come back and take Walker's job?
I don't think he's going to take his job. I've always thought there will be a 50-50 share, just what we've seen in Seattle's history with running backs, with Pete Carroll. And Zach Charbonnet's talent is so immaculate. I still believe in his talent coming out of UCLA. Kenneth Walker's playing great right now, and it's great because Zach Charbonnet gets to be eased in a little bit. So, but at some point, I do think it's going to be 50-50 in Seattle.
I would actually push back on that a little bit because I think last year, Kenneth Walker only got playing time once Rashad Penny got hurt. In the past, usually he wants a lot of depth at running back, but if there's a guy who's really putting in the numbers, he's going to stick with them. But I still like Charbonnet as well. I just think Walker got injured last year. He might get injured again, but
that's a good point.
Pete doesn't seem like a guy who's gonna split carries if he's got a workhorse.
I did think Charbonnet was just going to straight up steal Walker's job before the season started. That was 100% what I expected to happen by midway through the season. I no longer expect that, but I do find myself agreeing a little bit that maybe we see Charbonnet more involved as the season goes on. I'm more scared of Charbonnet than I am of Bigsby, is maybe the way to say it.
Yeah,
not as scared of Bigsby over there. The chat was on this one. Ladarius came in and said Moss is the bottom. Dustin came in with Etienne is first, Williams is third, and then put it all together with Etienne, Walker, Williams, Moss, Ladarius getting there as well. Nice job.
Great names
guys.
for trails.
Trail Etienne, Etienne
like
Trail.
Walking trails. All four of these would be great names.
Moss Trail. Oh, I want to go walk on Moss Trail right now after this.
Barefoot. Yeah.
Oh, that sounds so nice.
Yeah.
Vi, that's what we're doing after this. Me and you, we're walking the Moss Trail barefoot.
God,
there we go.
I never knew that was a dream of mine, but walking barefoot in the moss forest with Vi is one of them.
We're gonna make it happen.
My heart is just fluttering right now thinking about it.
Oh, now I have something to look forward to this off season. Is the off season Vi Moss walk? We've got Unruly Driven here with a question for us. Wants to know, can I drop Steve Smith's least favorite wide receiver for Miles Sanders? Vi, are you making this move? Would you drop Jerry Jeudy for Miles Sanders?
No, because we just saw Chuba Hubbard just completely dominate the backfield with Sanders hurt and really kind of probably putting some scare into Sanders as a lead workhorse. And even when he was the main guy, he wasn't really putting up any numbers. Judy's, the talent's all there. It's just that it's all a mess in Denver, but at least there's more chance of him being successful than Sanders, who hasn't really done anything through the first 5 weeks that he was playing.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jay.
He hasn't scored over 10 fantasy points in half PPR format outside of week 3. Miles Sanders, that is.
I'm with you guys. I think I'm holding on to Jeudy, even though it's been gross there, at least compared to this option. Craig in here saying JL stands for gently losing today, I guess.
Anything but gentle.
And if I had anywhere close to an acceptable Raymond Holt impersonation voice, Jake, I would do this out loud right now. What's up, Jake? Welcome in. Glad to have you here. And then Grim had a question for us before we get into our next puzzle. Oh, I am a coward. He said, how do you guys feel about starting Tyson Bagent this week? Joey, I believe earlier you said you had to be nuts to start Teabag. Do you stand by that, or was it just for the joke?
I am more scared of starting Teabag than the conversation I have to have with my wife about the broken toilet. That's where I'm at with Teabag this week.
Is she like really attached to the toilet?
It's her childhood
No,
toilet.
Is she like an emotional connection with the toilet?
It's the toilet she was potty trained on.
It has her indentations in the seat.
I finally
she
found
vomited
one.
into after her first beer. God, just everything happened in that toilet.
Oh, I'm clipping this. Oh god.
On the second half of this question, Grim wants to know: would you rather start Rachaad White or Zach Evans in full PPR this week? Which just breaks my heart that this is the question Rachaad White is in, but it's where we're sitting based on his performance so far this year. Who are you starting?
I would say there has been nothing to this point that would make me confident in starting Rachaad White and Zach Evans, the Rams running back, even though it's been Kyren Williams for the most time, has been something that has produced. So I would go with Zach Evans over Rachaad White, and I'd take the chance because the ceiling is higher, because we've seen Rachaad White through 6 weeks or 5 weeks, whatever, not do much of anything.
That's exactly what I was thinking, Vi. It's like if you need 8 to 10 points, maybe just plug in Rachaad White and say he's probably going to get that to me on volume alone. But the upside play here is the Rams running back, Zach Evans in this case, but we've seen what that role can do. John Luke, are you agreeing here? Would you roll out Mr. 9-10 PPR points Rachaad White?
I'd rather start Zac Efron.
Zach Efron? Yeah.
I do think
Me too. I didn't see him on the list.
I do think he is that. I think I would start Rachaad White over Zach Evans this week. I agree with you guys. The Zach Evans is the dice roll. I'm just worried that most of the sides of that die are going to be disappointing with Darrell Henderson coming in and the other running backs.
Who's the person in Mario Party who's got the dice that's like all 1s and 6s? You know what I'm talking about? In the Wii version. I forget which character it is, but one of them's got just straight 1s and 6s. You can go nowhere or everywhere. That's
I can say that Bowser has 10, 9, and then like negatives as well. So maybe that's even more high risk, high reward. So I don't know the 1s and 6s, but Zach Evans could definitely be Bowser as well.
Starting Zach Evans is playing with the Bowser dice in Mario Party.
100%.
Joey.
Yeah.
Are you rolling out Rachaad White? You are the Bucks correspondent here.
I am the Bucks. And is that what I am? The Bucks correspondent?
Yeah, I think
why won't they let me come to training camp then? Every year
you're on the banned items list.
Probably. Like I wouldn't be shocked if I'm banned from.
I'm pretty sure you could qualify as a missile if I'm not mistaken, Joey.
I would.
Dangerous in the wrong hands.
I'm actually surprised Rachaad White's kept the role he has in Tampa Bay. I expect Sean Tucker to come in and actually take the job away, but Sean Tucker's look like poo-poo water. So I'll also go Rachaad White. Yeah, like
every important milestone happened in that toilet, Joey.
Our whole lives.
I'm proposed by that toilet.
She's got
wedding photos.
Got little Sharpie marks going up the side.
Her growth chart,
up the inside of the bowl though to mark the
growth chart might be different in the toilet.
We got T-Money in here saying, "Yo, what's good? What's up, T-Money?
Hey,
T-Money,
my friend. Glad to have you here.
I need some T-Money to win this game. I don't think it's going to happen."
All right. Well, we got time for one more puzzle.
That's the wheel we threw out, Simon. Get it off of here. I don't want to see it ever again.
We're going to load up.
Oh my gosh.
Puzzle number 4 here. This one is coming to you from, I believe, Mr. Scampers, if I'm not mistaken, but through our friend G-Men J. May have been Craig. I will fact check why you guys are trying to solve it. We got an NFL player movie mashup. So this is an NFL player movie mashup. It's going to be similar to the book, but this time you didn't have to read. So unless you had the subtitles on, or unless this is a foreign film, in which case you either did have to read or you were just really confused the entire time you watched it. Who solved that last one? I think Vi solved that one as well, right? Which means John Luke, you are up first. It's your turn, baby. Are you ready?
Jail's frozen.
Does that answer your question?
I thought I was frozen. Everyone was so still. I was like, oh no.
I was about to do one of these.
All right. Well, John Luke, here is your first question because my question was answered. Who has more rushing yards on the season so far? Who has more rushing yards on the season so far? Is it Tony Pollard or is it Najee Harris?
Tony Pollard.
Tony Pollard is correct. Which letter would you like?
Freaking softball. Give me an S.
An S.
Son of a gun. Fuck.
I don't know his
Name
name.
this game. I quit.
Oh, I'm sorry, JL.
No,
That means it is.
I honestly
No.
believe JL just saw Dustin's stat and is trying to throw the game so I have a better chance of winning. That's what I think's happening. So
I think with
appreciate you, JL.
$9,700, you don't need anybody to throw the game.
Oh,
I don't think
this
you've
is
missed
me
a question
throwing it.
yet. Yeah, JL's like, yeah, that one was for you, Vi.
I'd love to see someone throw a game where they just get absolutely humiliated.
It's like
Sean
on
Payton
the.
threw that game against the Dolphins.
There you go.
Did you guys see the diss track that a Dolphins fan sent, or a Broncos fan sent to the Broncos like a Twitter account via DM? It's like a heavily produced, pretty good diss track that they just went all out on and sent it to the Broncos. You guys should look it up if you haven't heard it yet. It's pretty funny. But Joey, it's your turn. Would you like a question or would you like to solve this puzzle?
What question?
Okay. Who has more receiving yards on the year so far? Who has more receiving yards on the year so far? Is it Jamar Chase or is it Chris Olave?
Oh God. I'll still go Jamar Chase.
And you would still be right. Nice job, Joey. Which letter would you like?
T.
T as in taco. There are
Wow.
3 T's
Good
in
guess.
this puzzle. It's going to be 1,500 for Joey, which you can tell is a lot by looking next to his score at JL's, which is 0.
Or
Joey,
if you keep going and look at Vi's score of 9,700.
it's all about context. Joey, would you like another question or would you like to solve?
Question. I've got
Okay.
a lot of it. Actually,
also-
I want to buy a vowel.
Okay. Which vowel would you like?
E.
E as
I'm not
in-
going to win the game. I'm gonna solve the puzzle.
Okay.
Yep.
There are 4 E's in this puzzle. Going to subtract 400 from your round score. What would you like to do next, Joey?
Question.
Okay, question number 2. Who has more receiving touchdowns on the year so far? Who has more receiving touchdowns on the year so far? Is it Cortland Sutton or is it Kendrick Bourne?
Cortland Sutton.
Cortland Sutton has 4 to Kendrick Bourne's 2. Which letter would you like, Joey?
R.
R. Well, there are 3 R's in this puzzle. This is your last opportunity to buy vowels if you would like to do so. You may take a question or you may
Okay,
select
I'm going
the
to
puzzle.
solve, and I don't understand. I'm going to solve.
Okay.
Return of the Trey McBride.
I am sorry, Joey. This is not Return
How do you
of the
spell
Trey
return?
McBride.
How do you spell
World-
return?
Oh,
He was reading it. Joey spent a lot of time in Japan as a child and read most books from right to left growing up.
I had
and so-
Return of the Jedi in the dark, and I was trying to figure out who is EDI, like whose name is Eddie. I was just on that train.
All right. Well, Vi, it is
Yeah.
your turn. Would you like a question or would you like to solve this puzzle?
I would happily admit, even with all of that, I don't know what it is. So give me that question.
Even with that incomplete puzzle.
Before we do that, we got Swamp and you're saying, who that?
Hey.
Thanks to y'all, I'm undefeated in my
Hey.
dynasty
My
league. That's
guy.
all you, Swamp baby. Message your
Well
league
done.
mates.
I'll take some
Get
credit.
Oh
Swampy.
God, I've got it now. Let me pull the movie out. Go ahead.
Oh,
Vi,
wow.
you would like a question, Vi?
Question, yeah.
Who has more
I'm not
receiving
confident, Joey.
yards on the season so far? Who has more receiving yards on the season? Is it Brandon Ayuk or is it Jacoby Myers?
More receiving yards?
Receiving
I'm going to
yards.
go with Ayuk.
And you would be correct. I thought that one was tricky, but you got it. Which letter
Right.
would you like, Vi?
Oh, my goodness. Let me try an N.
N. There are no N's in this puzzle, which means we are back
I
to
would
John
like
Luke.
to solve.
You've
Do
not
it,
even
JL.
seen
Get
this
on the
movie.
board.
not
Father
even
of the
seen it.
Trey McBride.
Father of the Trey
Steve
McBride
Martin.
with Steve Martin.
Oh.
Excellent movie.
Great movie.
John Luke, that's going to earn you $1,000 here.
Good job.
Bringing
Joe.
you
On the board.
on the board.
And only
Did-
500 less than Joey.
Nobody got skunked. Yeah, that looks a lot closer than it did a couple seconds ago.
All of a sudden, Joey and I are in the same bucket.
And
I
Vi,
would just like to thank Dustin for the motivation. That was my bulletin board material, and just had to focus and show up.
they gave you something to play for. Dustin showed up and
Sure
gave
did.
you a reason to play. And boy, did you play, securing the victory by over $8,000 in today's game. Talk about a first big win. Congrats on your W, Vi. Anybody you want to thank?
Yes, I'd like to thank the coffee this morning, the coffee this afternoon. I'd like to thank my wife for all her support. Couldn't do it without her. My children, my mom, who would put me in front of the TV to watch Wheel of Fortune every night so she could do what she needed to do. I mean, I could go on. The list is very long, but, I don't want to bore anybody. I don't want the music to come on. So we'll end it there. Oh, and the Undroppables, of course. And you guys. There we go.
Well, guys, if you're not already following our friend Vi and checking out his work over at the Undroppables, you need to fix that right now. You can find him on Twitter at Wailele Sallas. Truly one of the kindest guys in this space and a great fantasy football analyst on top of that. So make sure you're checking him out and checking out what they're doing over at the Undroppables.
Facts. Shout out Undroppables.
That is going to be it for us for now, but we will be live in about 5 minutes over on the Front Yard Fantasy YouTube channel, which is probably where you already are. So if you just stay put and you have some fantasy questions for us, we will be more than happy to answer those. Just like this one. Oh, it's like a little bit of like a teaser that we're going to give you. T-Money had a question, wanted to know, in an 8-man PPR league, or I'm assuming 8-man PPR and not 8 points per reception.
That would be wild.
This is his team. He wants to know, do I trade Jamar Chase and Calvin Ridley for Amon-Ra St. Brown and Josh Jacobs? So we can look at this in a vacuum. His running backs are Bijan and Kyron with not much on the bench for running back help. And then his wide receivers are Kupp, Olave, Ridley, Chase, Rashee Rice, Jalen Waddle, and Deontay Johnson. God, you drafted a lot of good wide receivers.
Yeah.
Are you making this move, Vi?
I mean, I didn't see who's on his team, but Ridley is just a throwaway at this point. He really hasn't done much of anything, and it looks like Christian Kirk is the guy in Jacksonville. So you're really looking at Amon-Ra and Jacobs for Chase. So, I mean, if he has a lot of receivers, it's not a bad thing to do. I really kind of indifferent on it just because I don't see like one way or the other that's really, pushing you over the top.
I think it's a fair trade.
Yeah.
Chase and I guess because you're getting Amon-Ra St. Brown back, it just seems like if you're looking for an upgrade at running back, I would try to capitalize on the value of Chase to upgrade at that position. Know what I mean? It feels like a lateral move, like maybe a slight downgrade to Amon-Ra with a free Josh Jacobs thrown in. I think you get a better running back and keep, like, you have enough wide receivers. Kupp, Olave, and Jalen Waddle is a 6 starting trio of wide receivers the rest of the season. Chase could probably become a back better than Josh Jacobs for the rest of this year.
Right.
Amon-Ra plus Josh Jacobs, that's pretty good value. Like Amon-Ra for Chase, it's not that far off.
Now, I guess with the way Burrow's been playing so far this year, maybe those two are closer than I'm giving them credit for in my mind. Joey, what are you doing here?
I hate this trade. I think you can just do Ridley for Jacobs straight up. Like, that should be accepted. Like, I don't think Chase needs to be involved in this at all. It makes me sad that he is. I would aim for someone much higher if you're putting Jamar Chase in there.
I would also say everything is saying that Burrow's was really hurt and he's finally starting to come his own. So I assume that means Chase's value is going to skyrocket as they move forward. So this is like a buy low on Chase. Probably the lowest he'll be based on what they would be able to do together with a healthy Burrow.
I'm with you. Well, guys, if you liked that, great news. We're doing more of that right here at Fantasy Football Office Hours and the amount of time that it takes for us to go use the restroom. But we'll be right back over here to answer any and all of your fantasy questions. With that being said, that's going to be it for the Fantasy Football Game Show. Stay tuned for Office Hours. Go follow our friend Vi right now and start getting prepped for Thursday night football. See ya in about 5 minutes. Adios, everybody.
Appreciate y'all.
I got the poop knife and tried to break it up. It just would not go.